Well, as we get further and further into the year of 2023, there is more and more dialogue online around what Nintendo may be planning with the next Nintendo hardware, whether that be Nintendo Switch 2 or whether that be the very heavily rumored Switch Pro, which seems to be called into question more amongst recent reports suggesting that maybe it was once planned and it would have been the OLED model, but that never happened due to the chip shortage situation. And now you have analysts chiming in on their particular stance on whether or not Nintendo would launch any kind of new hardware in 2023. We have to break down and discuss all of that information today, in addition to some brand new interesting Switch data online that may suggest that, yeah, Nintendo doesn't have to play their hand anytime soon if they don't want to. We have to go over what, if anything, this means for new Nintendo hardware right now. What's up, Nation? If it's your first time on the channel, make sure you join Sunbro Nation by subscribing below. Hit the like button on this video if you enjoy it today. Make sure you turn on your bell notification icon. You're kept up to date with all the newest gaming news. And as I mentioned, guys, today we are having everyone's favorite conversation on the internet. What is Nintendo planning with new hardware? Because yes, as we are further now into the year of 2023, and we are looking at things like slowly declining Nintendo Switch sales, although I will say one of the topics and data points we will be going over today does suggest that Nintendo still has some leeway and runway left in the Switch's life cycle if they want it to last longer. But you have things like analysts chiming in online, making their annual predictions. And to first kind of put an asterisk to the article we're about to read through, a gaming industry analyst, while it has a very cool sounding title to it, is just somebody who is essentially paid as a profession to predict things like sales trends, stock market price prediction, performance, looking at kind of a deeper level of data than what we do, just kind of browsing articles online and focusing in on some of Nintendo's comments at their annual shareholder meetings. And they definitely pay for broader reporting and deep dive reporting to hardware and software sales numbers that the general public does not have access to. But all of that said, it is still just one person's opinion in the industry on what a company like Nintendo, that is notorious for playing their cards very close to their chest and trying to figure out what said company is going to ultimately do. And that is what you have to keep in mind when we read through stuff like this. As you can see, the big headline that's been picking up a lot of traction online over at VGC, where it says analyst doesn't expect next gen Nintendo console in 2023. A lack of announced games following Zelda has led to speculation about the Switch successor. Speaking with GamesIndustry.biz as part of a feature giving predictions for the upcoming year in video games, Piers Harding-Roll's research director at Ampere Analysis has predicted that Nintendo's next console won't arrive this year. "I'm not expecting a next-gen Nintendo console in 2023. We have 2024 in our forecast," Rolls Harding said, also stating that he expects The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom to sell plenty of Switch hardware. So whether or not you want to put any stock in what a gaming industry analyst thinks Nintendo will do, regardless, there is more and more of a forming opinion that maybe 2023 is not the year for any kind of hardware refresh, as we had those comments from John Linneman around the Switch Pro potentially really maybe being the OLED model, essentially saying that at one point he had heard from developers that yes, there was something more powerful as a mid-gen refresh planned for Switch hardware, and then internally that got scrapped. And that is his thoughts and speculation based on what he's heard from gaming developers he knows in the industry. And by all accounts, if we weren't in a chip shortage, it does seem like the Nintendo Switch OLED should have been the Nintendo Switch Pro or the Nintendo Switch 4K, whatever they were going to call it. It does seem like that maybe made sense and causing more doubt for 2023. Besides all of that, for new Nintendo Switch hardware, we had the recent leak of the Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom themed OLED, which is being called into question. To be fair, whether it's real or fake, there's some questionable edges around the top of the box and different things with the font being called into question. Internationally, it can still be comparable to existing font and text that they've used with the special edition of Pokemon OLED and Splatoon OLED, but my thought process has been, if Nintendo does new hardware in 2023, it will be alongside of the launch of Tears of the Kingdom, and if they are doing a special edition OLED and that leak is indeed real, well then at that point I think it clearly dismisses the fact that it launches alongside of Tears of the Kingdom, because you don't produce a current gen OLED and also say, by the way, you can buy this non-special themed brand new Nintendo Switch that runs the game better. That's poor marketing and it's not a smart decision, and Nintendo wouldn't do it. Could it still come in late 2023 at some point? Yes, but it does sound like that if we are to believe that Tears of the Kingdom is getting a special edition OLED, 2023 immediately seems way less likely for me personally. Now, pivoting the conversation to another article that actually does back up the fact that Nintendo really doesn't have to do anything for us fans that want more powerful hardware, and I'm definitely in that camp. I'm ready for a Switch refresh. I'm ready to spend more money on something new that can run the games just a little bit more effectively at a higher frame rate with a higher resolution. I'll pay for it. All of that said, Nintendo doesn't have to do that, and they definitely don't have to cater to fans that are wanting something more powerful, because they are still selling the Switch highly successfully as it completes its 6th full year on the market of being available and starting the 7th year of sales. And when you talk about how it performed in 2022, you then have this supporting article from VGC saying Nintendo Switch narrowly topped UK console sales in 2022, while FIFA 23 outsold Modern Warfare 2 to lead the annual software sales chart. According to GfK's sales published data on gamesindustry.biz, 2 million game consoles were sold in the UK last year, down 29% compared to 2021. The drop was mainly attributed to the PS5 supply shortage and a decline in Switch sales. Nintendo's console ended the year as the best-selling console ahead of the PS5 and third-placed Xbox Series X and S, although fewer than 60,000 units separated the three systems. So while the margin that the Switch walked away as the #1 selling console in the UK for 2022 was a relatively small number, it's still, you have to stop and think that the Nintendo Switch originally launched in March of 2017, and we are talking about it going head-to-head with consoles that launched at the very end of November in 2020. These are clearly newer consoles that people want, and while the component and supply shortages definitely play into them not performing as well, it is still crazy to see a vastly older console competing month in and month out to walk away with the top spot. I don't think you see it consistently anymore for the Nintendo Switch like we once saw, where guaranteed month in and month out it was the top unit seller and almost even always the top dollar seller in revenue. I think we are past that phase of the Switch's life cycle, but I do think there's still a large market that will continue to pick up this thing for all of Nintendo's major exclusives. We know that Zelda Tears of the Kingdom will move additional units, especially if it gets a special edition themed OLED, because you're going to have people like me that will just straight up drop the money to have that thing in my collection and double dip, even if you have an OLED model, or if you've been waiting this entire time to maybe not buy an OLED model in hopes that something more powerful is around the corner, you very well might go double dip to buy the OLED model and get your upgrade, just because Zelda themed hardware does definitely sell, and Zelda has a very hardcore following online, so it absolutely makes sense from a business standpoint. And then maybe Nintendo does indeed start to ramp down the first party major support on Nintendo Switch towards the end of 2023 and maybe the beginning or middle of 2024. We are really talking about whatever is next, whether it just be a true up Switch 2 or some brand new wacky idea that Nintendo comes up with. As long as it's still a hybrid form factor, I will be happy either way. But I really want to hear from you guys at this point in the video, your thoughts and opinions on these topics we went over today. What do you think about the Switch still selling at this point in its life cycle above the competition in major gaming markets like the UK? And do you think that we do see continued momentum into 2023, or do you think that market saturation is a real thing for the Switch at this point and we will start to see a stark decline month in and month out? And what do you think about Nintendo potentially not launching new hardware in 2023? Do you think that is a misstep for them and their bottom line and the overall success of the Switch? Or do you think that it does logically make more sense to ride out an entire another year of successful console sales, and something like 2024 is the true up time to release the next generation Nintendo hardware? Or do you think they even last longer than that? So regardless of all your thoughts and feelings on everything we talked about today, I do look forward to hearing from you all in the comments down below before you leave the video, as I do look forward to getting a back and forth conversation started with you all around these topics. Go watch yesterday's video next if you haven't already, which is on screen right now. Also make sure you like, subscribe, turn on your notification bell, and I will see you guys in the next video.